All right, just how good was Kwame Brown? So I got the old stat head out, and we're gonna find out. So before I came on here, I looked at his 2001 to 2002 season. So that was, I believe, his rookie year. And in that season, Kwame Brown ranked 294th out of 440 NBA players. So, in terms of PER, player efficiency rating. So, there were 100 players that you could say were worse than Kwame Brown. And this was, I believe, his rookie year. Yes, that was his rookie year. Okay. So, I got the stat head out, and we're going to figure it out here. In his second year in the league, Kwame Brown ranked 180th with a 13.8, a 13.6 player efficiency rating. He ranked 180th out of, it's going to be about 440 players a year. So that year, he was in the top half of the NBA, okay, out of 428 players. There's some people on here that that have negative PERs. Chris Dudley, for example, had a negative player efficiency rating, negative 1.7. Yeah. So, I mean, is a guy a bust when he was in the top half of the league? That was his second. That was his second year in the league. Now, I'm sure Stephen A would say, well, you know, these guys weren't the number one pick. But, I mean, why are you criticizing Kwame for not being as good as Michael Jordan thought he was? I mean, okay, I'm pretty sure he would say he wasn't a great NBA player. Okay, so 2003, 2004, Kwame Brown ranked. Wow, Kwame Brown ranked 112th in the league. 112th. Then in his rant, Stephen A. made the point that he played with 7 teams. That means 7 teams wanted him. I mean, LeBron has played with 4. So, I mean, I don't know how much of an indictment that is of his game. But, yeah, so 112th. So he was in the top quarter of players in the NBA. And when I looked at the number one overall picks, I saw a few people that only played 4 or 5 seasons in the league. So I'm trying to figure out how much of a bust you can be if you survive 13 seasons. I think the average NBA career is about 4 years. All right, Kwame Brown ranked 308. Okay, he ranked 308. Again, it's going to be about 430 players in the league. Okay, so let's go to the next year, which I believe was, I know he was playing with Kobe this year. All righty. This was Kobe's 35 point per game season. So let's see if Kobe had an effect. I know that Kwame Brown had his best season with Kobe, but let's see just how good it was compared to the rest of the league. All right, 2005, 2006, Kwame Brown ranked 259, 259th, okay? And that was out of probably about 400 some odd players. All right. So moving along, Kwame Brown. This is 2006, 2007. I think this is the year that he finished like in the top 12 in offensive rebounding percentage. I was just kind of perusing his career stats. All right, 2006, 2007 season, Kwame Brown. Alrighty. So far, his best season, he ranked 112th. That was his third season. So this is his fifth season in the league. 189th. Okay. So again, in the top half of the league. So, Stephen A. He didn't even address his core argument. His argument was, if there were so many players that were worse than Kwame Brown, why did you make him a household name for being a bad basketball player? Like why did you make him the poster child? And Brown's argument is that the reason they picked Kwame Brown was because Kwame Brown, because of his position as the number one pick, was a particular threat to college basketball. And that this was basically bad for ESPN. These high school kids was gonna start jumping to the NBA. So he didn't even address his core argument. I'm trying to figure out how much of a scrub you are when not only do you make it 13 years in the NBA, but you're in the top half of the league. But moving along, see, the thing is, I mean, he is what we think he is. He was a role player, and there's nothing wrong with that. What I'm trying to figure out is why do you, Stephen A., take a role player, a guy? Okay, fine. He didn't develop into a franchise player. He was just a role player. He was also 17 when he was picked. So that might have had something to do with the fact that he didn't develop. Did he get the help that he needed? How did he become the poster child for being a bad basketball player? All right, Kwame Brown was 326. Okay, so that year he was traded. This was the year he was traded from the Lakers, went to Memphis. Okay, so the next year, when you're in the 11, 12, 13, like, people like Jarrett Jack, Udonis Haslam, Kendrick Perkins, these are the people who have about, Kwame Brown ranked about 280. He was at exactly 280 in the 2008-2009 season. He went to Detroit. He played with Detroit. He ranked ahead of Juwan Howard that year, Gerald Green, Theo Ratliff, Corey Brewer, You know, those are some players with some that had respectable NBA careers. 2009-2010 season, Kwame Brown finished. I should be looking for Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson while I look for these. I know Steven Jackson was a better player than Kwame Brown, but it wasn't by leaps and bounds. I mean, Steven Jackson was a good role player, you know. Uh, Kwame Brown was a role player. Kwame Brown. All right. So here he's definitely starting to fade. He's at 385 at Detroit. And I'm going to say that was pretty much the tail end of his career. That's 2000. Yeah, that's 2000. He did play a little bit in Charlotte the next year. So let's look at that season. That was Detroit. Let's just go to his individual stats and get his win shares. So that year and to get his PER rather. Okay, so yeah, he did perform a little better the next year in Charlotte, 12.8, and then at Golden State 11.1. Career Kwame Brown averaged 12.5 PER. That's gonna get you right around the middle of the pack. So it's hard to say that he was a scrub. And if you want to say he was a scrub, if you want to say that he was a scrub relative to his draft position, how do you criticize him for that? He just wasn't as good as he was selected. I mean, I guess you want to say, okay, well, maybe he should have worked on his game. But I mean, that argument can be applied to anyone, any player that had that argument can be applied to anyone that had limited skills. You know, Derek Fisher, why didn't you become Kobe Bryant? You could have just worked harder. You know, so yeah, so Kwame Brown was a middle of the road, average basketball player, average, maybe even a little below average. On a 10-point scale, Kwame Brown was probably if a Hall of Famer is number one, Kwame Brown's probably 6, and probably the guy on your roster that doesn't play is probably number 10 or 11, something like that. So Kwame Brown was an average to middle average basketball player and had some moments. I know that he did have a career high in effective field goal percentage with Kobe, and I think that did rank among the league leaders. You know, I think that's because I did a video on this. He didn't play enough games, but had he played enough games, he would have been top 12 or top 15 or something like that in effective field goal percentage. But anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to offer that. That's Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown was, in fact, a decent player. Bye-bye.